Welcome to Brand You,
the ultimate personal branding podcast.
I'm Kaz Grant.
And I'm Toby Lee.
Together, we're here to help demystify personal branding
and to make it accessible and effective for everyone.
Follow along as we guide you through creating your own personal branding journeys.
So, let's get started.
Let's brand you. Hi everyone, welcome back to Brand You. So in last week's episode, we discussed the power of video for your personal brand. In this week, we are jumping into the world of AI, and we're going to be looking and talking about how AI can help you create and also run a personal brand.
I think a lot of people are a little bit scared about AI, kind of tentatively, tiptoeing around, giving it a go. But it is amazing, isn't it? Like when I think back to kind of like even 12 months ago, how much it's kind of already come into our kind of daily work routines, helping us with tasks and things. Like, how have you found it? Is it something that kind of you utilize or?
Yeah. I think AI is one of those things, isn't it? We've watched all these movies growing up and we've seen all of this stuff and the robots are going to take over. So there's an element of like, we've had this fear mongering for years that this is going to come. And now it's in and we're thinking, oh my gosh, first of all, like another thing that we have to learn and try and utilize and do. Like sometimes technology is going so fast, like, oh my gosh, and now AI. But actually, I think that AI is going to help us. It can be really, really good at simplifying things for us.
Yeah.
And for just helping us get really clear. I think what I like with AI, I use it in a few different ways. First of all, idea generation. Because sometimes we all get it, don't we? We wake up in the morning, we've got this creative thing that we need to do. What the hell do I need to, So using AI for idea generation, great. Using AI to get clear on some things as well, like a strategy or a content plan, that kind of thing. It can be really good for that. What I don't like AI for, and I think that a lot of people are using it for this, is like copying all of the text-based things that they're creating straight from AI and just utilizing that. Like we're all gonna sound so the same if we all start copying it.
Yeah, golden rule. You've heard it here. Not that you should know it anyway, but let's make sure we're not copying verbatim whatever it's producing for us in terms of content. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's been that little bit of resistance, hasn't there, to kind of embracing it. But I think with anything, resistance comes out of not knowing how to use it or what it is. But I think what's really cool now is people are sharing tools, certain bits of software, sharing how they're already using it and implementing it, and then that's giving other people the confidence to go, I'll give it a go, which is kind of, I guess, what we want to kind of achieve with this podcast today, isn't it? This episode, that we want to kind of give you a couple of basics of where you can be implementing this into your day-to-day. With personal branding, we're obviously trying to take care of a lot of things ourselves. So there's the general running of our business. Then we've got the marketing. And within marketing, we've got all sorts of branches, from our website to our copy, to our visuals, to our social media presence, to, all sorts of other bits. Most sole traders and people that are running their own business, we've got lots of hats on, haven't we?
Yeah.
If we had the luxury of outsourcing it to, say, somewhere like Quirk, where, they could take care of that for us, and we know that they are looking after our brand voice and everything, that would be awesome. But I think what's really cool today is we're going to share some tools and some ideas of how to use AI to kind of work for you, kind of be that assistant, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it. AI is your assistant. Like, let's take some of this pressure of being a small business owner off of our shoulders, and where we can utilize AI to help, let's use that to help us, because we have got so much going on. If you're a one-man band especially, your brain is maxed. So utilize AI in the ways that we're going to suggest and help that work for you. Look, if you've got money and no time to put into place, but you've got the money to invest, go and get a marketing agency, go and get a personal branding agency, go and get all of the outsourcing that you can get to help your business flourish. Boom, you've got the money to do that, go and do that. Those who haven't got the money to do that, but maybe have got a little bit of time, you're going to have to learn it yourself, but then also using AI alongside that as well. So absolutely.
I can be very guilty of thinking I can do this myself, because I am quite good at picking up things quickly, trying things, and particularly in a creative sense. If it's something that I can be doing myself rather than outsourcing, I'm going to give it my best shot. But that does tend to distract me away from certain bits of my work or running my business that can only be me focusing on it. Like, I need to be putting my attention there. It's easy to go, I'm going to take a couple of hours to just do social media or just do this morning, and actually it's distracting away from the real things I need to be getting on with. So yeah. So let's
absolutely. Do you know what? This is one thing everybody can use as a small business owner with AI. Literally ask it questions like that. Like, how can I do this role in this business? How can I make my time more effective?
Yeah.
What can I use AI for that's going to help me? Like, AI is almost, just look at AI as the new Google, really. We have a question, we go to Google, or YouTube sometimes. We have a question, we go to YouTube. AI is basically the new Google and YouTube. We're going there to ask it questions. Like, if you don't know something, ask it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You'd be so surprised as well what it comes back with. And I quite like having a little chat with AI sometimes. Like, I'm really nice. Yeah. Because I do think the robots could take over at some point. So I want them to know that I am the nice person here.
Back on all your previous chats.
I was very polite to you, robots. So don't come knocking at my house when you want to take over the world. I'm just doing my thing. So be nice to it. Have a bit of a laugh with it as well, and like utilize it like that. And AI is always learning as well. So every input that you make, every question that you ask, it's always going to learn more about you. So it's going to get, the more you use this, the more honed on what you need it for, it's going to get. Yeah. Which is great, because it might be a bit clunky at the start. You might be figuring out where to find stuff, what to ask it. Over time, it will just know. And it will know all of the stuff that you've asked in the past as well. Yeah. So it's going to be great. So eventually you'll just get on, you go, my target audience, I asked you the other week. Yeah. Can you give me blah, blah, blah. So yeah. I'm excited to get into this subject, because I think there is a lot of people that could probably use AI's help at the moment that are maybe not utilising it. So
Kaz, if we were casting back and starting all over again, you with your personal brand, what would you do to implement AI at this point? Because I'm guessing you wouldn't just do everything the same as you already have and not use these amazing tools that are out there.
Absolutely. Like, if only I had AI back then, I wouldn't have made as many bloody mistakes as I have, and I wouldn't have wasted so much time creating stuff that is just absolute rubbish and nonsense. When I look back at my first videos and my first posts on my Instagram platform, scroll back, guys, it's going to take you a while, but scroll back, it's well worth the laugh. They're awful. There's no reasoning behind them. Who am I talking to? There's no strategy. There's nothing. It's just me going, I need to be on social media, but and that's it. So if I had AI, if I was starting from scratch and I'm having AI for my personal brand now, first of all, I'd go back to a few episodes ago, we were talking about getting clear on everything yourself. So all of that information that you've got clear on there, I would enter all of that into something like ChatGPT is a good one to use. And so,
by being clear, you mean things like what you stand for, what's your purpose, what's your mission, who you are, what you want to get across to the world, all of that kind of stuff. If you know your target audience and things as well, then put that information in there. If you don't know your target audience, ChatGPT can help you get to know them. Fill in those gaps.
Yeah, fill in those gaps. So all of the information that you've got so far that makes you you and that you want to put out to the world, put it all in ChatGPT. And then you can ask it things like, right, I want to create my own personal brand, but I want to get really clear on my messaging here, ChatGPT. If you could please help me, that would be great. I want to create a personal brand strategy. What are some of the first things that I need to do for my personal brand? That's a question. It's an input you're putting into ChatGPT. It knows your world. It knows where you're from. It knows all this stuff. If you've got a website for your business, you can put that in there, because again, it will take all of the information from the web. So again, it will just know a bit more about who you are and what you do. The more information you can give it, the better the output will be. So then it will come back and it will create a strategy for you. And again, nothing with AI is going to be perfect. So this is why we don't copy it all the time. Sometimes the initial inputs with AI, you can look at it and be like, not quite what I was after, not quite what I was looking for. Or I don't think that would be the route that I want to go down. So this is the point where when you get an output from ChatGPT, you got to listen to your gut a little bit with it. And you got to think, hold on, this is your personal brand that you're creating. It's you. You know at your core if something's right or a little bit off. So you then can look through that information that it's just given you and be like, oh yeah, thanks so much for this. I really like that element of it and that element of it. Can you clarify a bit more what you mean by this point?
Yeah.
And it will clarify and it will give you some more information. So again, at any point with ChatGPT, it will tell you a bit more if you ask it for a bit more. So you don't have to take it for an initial, like, okay, that's it, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, sure.
You can also go back in then and say, I didn't like this bit at all. I want to get across more of this. How could I do that? And then it will go back and it will revise what it's just put as well. And it go, well, another way you could do it is
yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you can have this really great back and forth conversation with it until you have this strategy, this plan of action that you need to take forward in your personal brand.
Yeah.
You can even, one thing I'd do with it as well at the start is put it, you know, I am a one member. I don't have money to invest. I don't have a lot of time to invest in this. What are the main platforms I need to be on? What are the main messages that I need to be on? What is the main content that I need to create? So again, you're not overwhelming yourself. ChatGPT says I need to be on every platform doing everything. Yeah, in an ideal world.
Yeah, that's it.
But you are your own person, so maybe not. But I'd do that instantly. So it will create strategy for me. And then also, if you're not already clear on the audience that you want to speak to, I'd also ask ChatGPT to make me a bit clearer on that. So I'm all of these things and I'm doing all of these things. ChatGPT, who is my ideal audience? I feel like it might be women between these ages and it might be this, that and the other. What's your opinion on that? And it will come back with things. And again, you can start to gauge what bits you like from that and what bits you maybe don't. And then you can say, thanks so much. I really like this bit, this bit, this bit. I'm going to keep those. I'm maybe going to change those because I want more of.
Yeah.
And again, ChatGPT is learning whereas you're learning as well. So have those to and froms because it will remember it in the future. If you just take half of the information from it and don't tell it that some bits weren't quite right and you need to tweak them, it won't know that.
Sure.
So it's almost like you've got a personal branding agency there with you and you're having that chat with them, or it's like you've got a marketing team there and you're having that chat with them. So yeah, get clear on strategy and who you're talking to. First things that I would use, and ChatGPT I think is the easiest one. Everyone's got access to it and it's the most popular one at the moment, so it's probably going to give you quite good answers. And they're reviewing that all the time. They're making it better and better, aren't they? Do you use ChatGPT at all?
Yeah, I do. I use it sparingly in terms of, I now know that there are specific tasks that it could be really useful for me for.
Yeah.
So like you say, occasionally idea generation, but even things down to, you know, if there's some, so I sort of struggle with writing sort of long form like content, or even if there's like policies and things that I need to sort of just update and implement and stuff, or even sometimes the contracts, if there's, you know, specific terminology that I need to get across, or I know what clause I need to be putting in, but I just can't word it in that sort of formal sense, and it's not something I need to maybe like get professional advice on, and just for one clause, you know, just putting something like that into ChatGPT can be really useful.
That's a great one.
You know, because when you're on your own and you run a business, you know, my expertise is the creative side. It's not the, you know, the formal legalities and things like that, but it is a huge part of what makes my business trustworthy and, you know, respectable. So it's just trying to find that balance, isn't it? So definitely have its uses.
And that's really interesting. So you're not great at the long form. I am not great at shorter content.
Right.
So another way that I'll use ChatGPT is I will write a book on something, but I want it to just be a post or a certain amount of, there was something for the magazine and you were like 350 characters, Kaz, and I was like, oh, I'm like triple that.
Yeah.
So then I can put that into, I've written it all, it's all my language, it's all me. I could put that into ChatGPT and go, I want it to sound like me, but it needs to be 350 characters. Can you help me like cut some of this?
Yeah.
So it can be a great editing thing like that as well.
Yeah.
And again, with the legal jargon and things like that, like, can you make this sound a bit more professional for me? Can you make it sound a bit more whatever? And again, well, you can go on and have the final say of it, but it'll come back with a really great result.
Yeah.
In like time that it would have taken you, spent 5 hours doing it, AI's done it in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Like time saving wise, I think AI is such a great tool.
It's important to stress again, making sure you reference that you're in the UK as well.
Yeah.
You know, because we talked previously about the Americanisms, but particularly with things like if you are going to put any like, contractual clauses together or things like that, give it some references. So recently when I was updating a policy, I made sure there was some government links in there to UK references that it can take from. But yeah, no, it's amazing. And even, so the magazine, the Business Companion magazine that I produce, that local Lincolnshire businesses contribute to, with the distribution of that, I'd kind of exhausted all the kind of main key spots I wanted to distribute to, but I need to find more businesses. So I actually used ChatGPT to go, I've already delivered to businesses in these areas. I need businesses of this size, within certain mile radius. Can you also like group them by district so I can distribute them on like certain days and put a bit of a plan together? And it gave me all that. It gave me as a list. I then said, can you give me this as an interactive map? And it actually made me a link that when I clicked on, it was basically like Google Maps, and it had all these pins on it that I could then click on, and it would tell me a bit more about all those businesses. So, don't be afraid to think outside the box and ask it to deliver it in a certain format, because sometimes it will just give you a list of bullet points and people instantly see that and go, oh, it's been AI generated. But actually, if you ask it to do some cool things, it'll do it for you.
Yeah. It's so cool, isn't it? And like you say, it's just not being scared of it, asking the questions. I think that's the main thing to come out of this, isn't it? And it was interesting. I was watching a YouTube video the other night, and he was talking about the way that the world's going with, personal branding taking off, being more beneficial than some of the other marketing ways and things like that. And the fact that the world is changing. And yes, there's a time where we used to go to Google to search things, and we used to go to YouTube to search things, but actually now most people are going on to ChatGPT to enter stuff in. So if you are a business who is advertising and using Google Ads a lot at the moment, that's possibly great for now, but 6 months down the line, everybody's going to be on ChatGPT searching for things. So your Google Ads are potentially not going to be found because it's a different platform. So again, we need to be looking at AI at the moment, because it is going to take off. Well, it is taking off rapidly. If you're not utilizing it at the moment as a business and creating a personal brand and helping it create a personal brand with it, you are going to be miles behind so many people out there. So this is something really important, because this isn't something that we can kind of bury our heads in to go, oh God, no, I'm not doing it, I'm not learning AI. You're going to get left behind. Absolutely. And there's businesses being sold at a rate of knots at the moment, because the marketing side, the people have business experience and they have the old one-to-one style and the referral thing, but they don't have the technological side and the social media and all of that. So we need to be keeping up with the times, don't we? Otherwise our businesses could get swept away. That's a scary note, but anyway. So we've got our strategy from AI, we've got our messaging honed down, we've got our audience, we know who we're speaking to. So the next thing I think that AI could be beneficial for with personal branding is your content creation. But that's kind of two ways to this. First of all, it can be really good at helping you create a content plan. And again, the ideas for what content to create. If you've got a plan, then you're probably going to stick to it more consistently than if you don't have a plan. And then the other side of that is the actual content itself. Do you create any content? Most of mine at the moment, I don't create content with AI actually. I use it again for the ideas. There might be like, I want to talk about this week, what can I discuss? And then there's some ideas, and then I'll just use my voice to create it. But do you use it for content creation? I don't think you do either.
No, probably not really. I use it to kind of help me perhaps edit at times with like the video or say content for this podcast when we kind of put the short versions out. We use Opus, which is a great tool. If you put a long form video in, it will cut some shorts out and it will recognize the topics in conversation as well. It's really, really good for that.
The only thing on those sort of videos and the captions, make sure you read the captions, because it always puts CAS as my name and it's CAZ, and Quirk is always spelled with a K at the end, but we use a Q because we're a brand. So I always have to check, like Quirk and Kaz definitely is always wrong.
Yeah.
So we just have to go in and again,
And we
make
can
those
tweak
little
it as well.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for that now. So yeah, I kind of use that. But I know a lot of people kind of use if there's a particular image that you really want and you just can't find it, and even if it's just for a post or a presentation, so it doesn't matter if it's a stock image. Sometimes services like Adobe Firefly, and I think Canva has an image generation tool as well, where you put a description in and it will generate that image. So if there's something really specific that you're after to just help go with whatever it is that you're sharing value-wise, it can be really useful for that.
Yeah. I haven't had much luck on Canva at the moment with AI. I've been playing around a little bit with it because, again, I want to kind of keep up with the technology and talk about this stuff and know about it to offer to others advice on. Canva, I don't think is quite there yet with their AI. But again, the more people that are inputting, the more people that are playing around with it, the more it will learn.
Yeah.
So I think it just needs a bit more learning first. So I wouldn't rely on it wholly sometimes.
No.
Sometimes with different editing things in their magic editor, I'm like, oh gosh, no, I didn't mean edit, no. Or it doesn't pick up. It's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, and
just get rid of that line or do.
It's the consistency as well, isn't it? So like obviously through our building our personal brand, consistency is so important that we have that house style all the way through our content, so that people start to recognise it as being us. And I think sometimes if it's graphic led or something like that, what it generates might be really cool, but the next time you go in, it might just do something slightly different or completely different, and you don't get that consistency, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that goes for like the tone of voice and the messaging as well, and the content. Like if you're just putting it through AI all the time, there will be a consistency, I guess, because AI will just speak like AI does.
Yeah.
But you're gonna blend in with everybody else that's copying at the moment from ChatGPT and AI.
Yeah.
So you're going to sound like every single other person on the internet. And the amount of times I see people that have still got the Zs in the American words of things and stuff, I'm like, oh, you haven't even changed the Zs.
Yeah.
Change the Zs. But I know that they've copied it from ChatGPT and it sounds sort of the samey. So I think with content, with the images and with the things, but also with the text, you have to do some work to change the AI things. I think it's like quite a difficult one to just copy and paste, isn't it? That's where AI is not going to save you time, because you're going to have to edit that much. You might as well have probably written it yourself. Yeah. Sometimes I think I should have just written that, because actually it's taken me longer to edit all of what ChatGPT has written.
Yeah.
And again, personal branding is all personal stories. AI and ChatGPT weren't there on that day that you met that person.
It doesn't know your life,
doesn't know your life. It doesn't know how you were feeling. It doesn't know the emotions behind it yet. So it's hard to convey that through ChatGPT.
And that is what makes our personal brand personal, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, if we want to roll with that, then we can go for some generic branding. But actually the power of why we're doing a personal brand, the effect that can have and how you can build a reputation much faster, much more trustworthy. If we want all those benefits, we've got to keep that personal element, which unfortunately we have to put in, we have to be in charge of.
Yeah. So content-wise, idea generation, maybe some graphic elements.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. You got the ideas, you got the content plan.
Yeah.
Then write it all yourself. It's just going to be easier, and it's going to sound more like you. And even videos and stuff like that. I think this is a good lead on to the visuals actually as well, because you can use AI for visuals as well. We've talked about the graphic side of it. Yeah. Something that was really interesting the other day, and I thought this is going to be a great conversation with you, because you are Headshot Toby.
Yeah.
You are the headshot man. I thought this is brilliant. I saw a post on LinkedIn and it was somebody, they're probably affiliated with that brand in some way. So they were just advertising that, if someone needs a professional headshot for their LinkedIn, go and get this from an AI generated thing. You can put an image in of yourself just down the pub last weekend or as a whatever, and it will generate this professional looking headshot for you. So I thought about it and I looked at the images that it had created, and this specific one, it wasn't too dissimilar to him. So you could tell it was him and it wasn't too fake looking. Yeah. So I get it, and that's great. And I think, again, if you're somebody that's not going to have a profile photo because they don't like the way they look, or they haven't got a professional shot, or they haven't got the money to spend on all of these things, you're not going to have one, then maybe choose that tool.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as trustworthy as you yourself. And then, so I had a play around with it, but I went into Canva and I created headshot CAS. So I took one of your headshot photos that you'd done of me, and I've got a post on this in the AI week next week. So that'll be a good one to talk about. So I've got me with your headshot, pink top, bright, the lights, it's me, right? It is me. You don't filter that much. You know, you edit tiny bits of lighting or something, but you don't edit much, so someone looks like they do.
Yeah.
And then I put in Canva CAS. Canva CAS looks like she could be a lawyer or an undertaker lawyer. You know, very grey, serious, like, you know,
just corporate
to the core.
Corporate
and I
CAS.
was like, I gave you a t-shirt and a pink top, smiley. How have you got that from that? And it did, again, it looked, you'd see me in a coffee shop, you'd know that AI CAS was me. So I'm not catfishy anymore, I'm professional catfishy. But it was still so like inauthentic and not on brand. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be sharing that other than to highlight how rubbish it is.
Yeah. And you know, I really need to give these tools a go because like, I think for my own learning, it'd be really interesting. Because funnily enough, I get promoted no end of them because I'm always like searching headshots and things like that. I think the algorithm's kind of like now spamming me with adverts for headshots. But yeah, some of them I've seen in the past, you know, it's like pay $19 and upload your photo, and the examples they show are always like quite remarkable, aren't they? You know, the before and after, it's kind of like, wow, yeah, they've done a good job with that person. So I'll be intrigued to see if I have the same feeling as what you've had about your photo. But I think the main things to look out for are, don't underestimate what else you get out of, say, going for a photo shoot. Similarly, using AI tools to help with your marketing, social media, don't underestimate the power of actually working with, say, a business like Quirk and actually like the expertise and input they're going to have and guidance. That when you kind of go for a photo shoot, we're very much trying to capture your aims and your goals and what you're about on a real personal level.
Like an essence.
Essence. Like that's
can
something.
AI capture an essence?
That's something I find is kind of missing, like in the AI photos. You know, something about the eyes that, like, do you know what I mean? Like they're just not really glowing, and there's nothing behind them almost. So yeah, it's just trying to make sure, like, whilst they are great tools, and if you need a photo of you in a certain setting, and you know, I've seen stuff on Instagram of people, you know, creating really successful Instagram accounts and followings really quickly because they're posting photos of them, you know, stood on the tarmac of a runway with a private jet in the background. And, you know, that is not their lifestyle at all, but they are creating that illusion. That's not why we want to use AI, but, you know, there are benefits and ways to be creative with it to kind of get your point across, but it's just been making sure you're doing things for the right reasons, that if you are trying to create a certain impression, is it authentic? Is it better to be authentic? Certainly is for your personal brand, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And you could even put, like, I don't know, if you created a shot like that because you were talking about how ridiculous it is that people go from starting a business to private jets in 2 seconds on LinkedIn, and you know, can we all just be a bit honest?
If there's a bit of irony or
then you
humour
could
around
create
it.
a really fake one of that, and it could be AI, and people would get the gist of it because in your content is the context of what you were talking about. But when it's you portraying that as yourself and your personal, like this is everything that makes you you and everything you stand for. And if that's fake, then like how can people grow to trust you or get to know you? Or like there's just an element of that disconnect there as well, isn't it? Because it's like, who am I actually speaking to? Why are they using AI and not their actual selves? That, again, that we've got few seconds to say if we feel like we trust someone or not, and judge people. And it's like there's just that missing piece if it's not really us. I just can't explain it. It's a bit, it puts me off a bit. Sometimes it's the AI and it's being used as a professional for, and I'm like, oh no.
And then we've also got to explore the flip side. The flip side. We've obviously got to explore the flip side of it as well, though. That, you know, getting professional photography, getting professional assistance with things, it requires a budget and an investment, and we haven't always got access to that. You know, when we run our own business, you know, anything that we make profit-wise goes into our pocket. And, so, I wouldn't say don't use these tools. Like, I don't have any fear of like AI taking over and me being out of a job tomorrow. Because I think there are definitely uses for it in places. Give it a go, see what comes out. And you've got to try these tools as well. A lot of them give free trials. Give them a go, because I've used stuff for trying to edit the podcast, say, to try and save us some time, so we can make sure that it's not encroaching too much in our own businesses and things. And some tools have worked really well. Some tools haven't quite got the essence of what it is we're trying to do, and not responded quite how I wanted it to. And so it's trying to make sure that you kind of have a bit of time to play with these tools, try and hone what settings they might have, but also just give them a try as well on the free trials before you start subscribing and paying for things.
And AI is a new thing, relatively new, isn't it? So again, it is if this is the future of things, and this is going to make our lives essentially better, easier down the line, it's going to take a period of adjustment and a period of trying them out and playing with them and seeing which works for our individual businesses or not. We were talking about AI graphics and headshots and things. If you're, there's different people do different things. If you are the owner of an AI company, it might be cool to have an AI graphic of yourself there as your profile shot. So again, it's like it needs to be individualized and in line with everybody else's individual personal brands. So there's not like, don't do that or do that or whatever. Have a play. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that episode. So today's action step that we want you to implement is to head on over to ChatGPT. So just Google it and it will bring that up for you, and have a little play around. Input all of the things that you have so far. So if you've got a website, pop that in there. Talk to it about the kind of person that you are, the messaging that you want to get across, the personal brand that you want to create. Maybe input your ideal audience's information if you have that. And then just ask it. Maybe ask it a question like, what content can I create for my audience to give value over this next week? Have a play around, ask it some questions, and see what it comes back with.
Now, personal branding isn't just for people running their own business. It is for employees as well. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about how having a personal brand can really help advance your career.
So keep following the Brand You podcast. We'll be dropping episodes every week, talking to you about how you can create your own personal brands. Also, follow along on the LinkedIn community group Brand You, where you'll get updates of all of the Brand You content coming out, and also you'll be able to ask us any personal branding questions that you have, which we can then answer in the podcast episodes.
So, here's to branding you.